67 years. That is the minimum sentence this man just received. Do the math. His parole officer has not even been born yet. By the time Antawan Benson is even eligible to breathe free air again, he will be in his 90s. And when you hear what he did and what the judge said to him, you will understand exactly why. This is a man who fired 37 bullets from an AK-47 and an AR-15 into 3 family homes in the middle of the night. And when the smoke cleared and the chaos settled, a 12-year-old girl named Isabella Carlos lay dead in her bedroom. She had been sleeping, getting ready for school the next day. She never woke up. And when Benson stood before Judge Gerald Parker to receive his sentence, the judge did something that courtrooms rarely see. He looked this defendant dead in the eyes and told him the truth about exactly what he was. Not a gangster, not a tough guy, not the demon he pretended to be on Instagram and TikTok. Soft, weak, a fake.
Portraying this sense of false bravado, toughness. Y'all soft, all of y'all weak. All of y'all soft in those pictures.
The words hit harder than any gavel ever could. We will get to the judge's full statement later in the video because trust me, you are going to want to hear every single word of it. This is the story of how a social media beef turned into a senseless murder, how 2 brothers destroyed an innocent family over an Instagram post, and how a judge handed down a sentence so long that the man who will eventually supervise this killer's parole has not even been born yet. It was August 23rd, 2024. Around midnight in Dayton, Ohio. The streets of West Fairview Avenue were quiet. Families were asleep in their beds. Children were resting up for another day of summer before the school year started. Antawan Benson, 23 years old at the time, and his younger brother Javen Connor climbed out into the darkness carrying enough firepower to take on a small army, an AK-47, an AR-15, and a grudge born from nothing more than a social media post about their cousin. The night before, things had already escalated. Benson had confronted a woman in nearby Trotwood over the online dispute. No shots were fired then, but witnesses say he pointed a gun directly at her. That should have been the end of it. That should have been the moment cooler heads prevailed and everyone walked away. Instead, the brothers came back the next night with a plan. And that plan was to unleash hell on a residential street where families lived and children slept. They opened fire. Bullet after bullet tore through walls, shattered windows, and ripped through the night air. 37 shots in total. 3 different homes hit by the barrage. And in one of those homes, in an upstairs bedroom where she had been peacefully sleeping just moments before, 12-year-old Isabella Carlos was struck. She never had a chance. The intended targets of this shooting rampage were not even in Isabella's home. Her family had absolutely nothing to do with whatever petty dispute these brothers were fighting about online. She was just a 7th grader, a child with her whole life ahead of her, staying with her adoptive parents who had given her a loving home, and now she was gone.
Died in the arms of her legal guardian, Michael Nooks. This defendant, Antawan Benson, and his brother were the ones who killed her. And that's why we're here today.
But here is what makes this story even more infuriating. After murdering an innocent child, after firing military-grade weapons into houses full of sleeping families, after committing one of the most cowardly acts imaginable, what did these 2 brothers do? They went on social media and bragged about it. They posted photos and videos on Instagram showing off their empty ammunition clips. They shared it on Facebook. They wanted everyone on every platform to see what they had just done. Look at what we just did. Look how tough we are. Look at all these bullets we just fired. This is who we are. Prosecutors would later describe this as false bravado, but that term almost feels too generous for what it actually was. It was 2 grown men celebrating the murder of a child they did not even know existed. Local news stations like the Dayton Daily News began covering the case extensively. The community was outraged. A child was dead because 2 men wanted to look tough on the internet. The investigation moved quickly. Both brothers were arrested and charged with a long list of crimes: murder, multiple counts of improperly discharging a firearm into a habitation, felonious assault, discharge of a firearm on or near prohibited premises, aggravated menacing. And for Antawan Benson, there was an additional charge of having weapons under disability because of a prior conviction. These were not first-time offenders who made a terrible mistake. These were repeat criminals who should never have had access to these weapons in the first place. Antawan Benson's trial concluded on December 9th, 2025. The jury found him guilty on every single count. His younger brother, Javen Connor, was convicted 10 days later on similar charges. But the real moment everyone was waiting for came on December 22nd, 2025, when Benson stood before Judge E. Gerald Parker for sentencing. The courtroom was heavy with emotion. Isabella's family sat waiting for some measure of justice that could never truly come. No sentence would bring back their little girl. No words from a judge could undo what had been done. But they needed to see this through. Isabella's aunt, Danetta Dewberry, approached the podium to deliver her victim impact statement. And what happened next showed the world exactly how much this family had lost.
My niece was laying there sleeping, getting ready for school the next day. She deserved that. We would never get to see Bella go to prom. Her first love, her first date, anything.
Dewberry continued, her voice filled with grief and righteous anger.
I want you to think about it. And you think about it hard. Think about it hard, here. Think about what you and your brother did to my family and these people's family. Y'all think about it, because it makes no sense.
Then it was time for Judge Parker to deliver his statement. And this is where the courtroom fell completely silent. He began by describing testimony about how Isabella was found after the shooting. She had moved from where she had been sleeping. She was discovered half on the bed and half off the bed. The implication was devastating. It is just gut-wrenching to try and comprehend the last few moments of Bella's life, the judge said. She actually had moved from where she was sleeping. She was found half on the bed, half off the bed, which means she suffered, she struggled, whether it was for a couple minutes. I hope you understand that. This child did not die instantly. She suffered, she struggled, and her younger sister was the one who found her. Then the judge turned his attention to the social media posts, the Instagram photos, the Facebook videos, the empty ammunition clips these brothers proudly displayed for the world to see. Instead, they get these guns and they post on the gram, they post on Facebook, and they show videos and pictures of empty clips of what they just did, he said.
And I've seen the videos and the pictures of all the boys with the Dracos and the ARs, a bunch of fake wannabe NBA young boys who can't look a person in their eyes who they have a beef with and say, this is why I have a beef with you.
Portraying this sense of false bravado, toughness. And then came the moment that would define this entire case. The moment the judge said what millions of people have been thinking every time they see another young person posing with weapons on Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat before committing senseless violence.
They get these guns and they post on the gram, they post on Facebook, and they show videos and pictures of empty clips of what they just did, send it back to their own phone, portraying this sense of false bravado, toughness. Y'all soft, all of y'all weak. All of y'all soft in those pictures.
There it was, the truth that nobody in positions of authority usually says out loud. These are not tough guys. These are not gangsters. These are cowards who spray bullets into houses because they are too afraid to handle their problems any other way. Antawan Benson briefly apologized during the hearing.
I'd like to apologize to the family and more so apologize to my family, putting them through this situation. And
whether that apology was sincere or simply an attempt to gain sympathy, only he knows. It did not matter. Judge Parker sentenced him to 67 to 72.5 years to life in prison under Ohio's Reagan-Stokes law. Benson is 24 years old. He will be over 90 before he even gets a chance at parole. The person who will one day review his case for early release is probably not even born yet. That is how long this sentence is. That is the price of looking tough on Instagram. Isabella Carlos would have turned 13 this year. She will never get to scroll through Instagram like other teenagers. She will never download TikTok or Snapchat or whatever app comes next. She will never experience any of it. All because two fake demons wanted to look tough on the internet. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe because we cover cases like this every single week. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think about this judge's statement.